Oh, hello, and welcome to Dolli Crafter. This is my first video here on YouTube, and it's a really special one. So let's go grab some art supplies. Alright, so now that our art supplies are out and all over the floor, I can introduce today's video. It's a Rainbow High collab. Oh yeah, that's right. My first video here on YouTube, it's a collaboration. Joining me today are two amazing artists also here on YouTube. Collab host Mr. Super Customs and Stephoodoll. And now to meet the star of the show. This is Laurel. Laurel is part of Rainbow High's newest release, and she is really pretty, like so pretty. Okay, enough awkwardness, bye! Laurel is a fully articulated doll. She has the ability to bend her knees all the way back, swivel her head side to side, and now she can even tilt her head, unlike the older models of Rainbow High. Her hair is so soft right out of the box. I'm definitely going to keep this for future projects. Well, that's what she looks like now. Come on, Laurel, let's give you your makeover. Now, since I'll be saving the hair, I went ahead and divided it into 2 equal parts so that when I'm using my electric razor, I can get an even cut. I'm going to go ahead and just cut both sections independently so that I can store them together. Place these in a plastic bag for safekeeping. Alright, off to storage. Now, using my electric razor, I'm going to go ahead and remove what's left on her head. I want to get it as close to the scalp as possible so that when I'm removing the hair, it's just a lot easier. And there we are. Nice, fresh buzz cut. Still so beautiful. She seems to have a pretty clean part right here that doesn't have any plugs, which is ideal for me because I'm going to be cutting the back of her head off so that I can access the eyes later. So that's good to know. Now I'm going to get my boiling hot water and submerge her into the boiling water. Hang in there, Laurel. After a couple of minutes, I'm going to remove her from the boiling water. I'm going to use a towel to protect my hand because the vinyl will be very hot. I'm going to test the squishiness to make sure her head is okay for removal, and it seems like it is. Now the tricky part. These eyes. These eyes are so scary. They almost killed me. Ah! Oh, terrifying little beasts. Okay, well now this is just even worse. Oh, look at it. Anyway, so now she has no eyes. They're over here kissing and being weird. Strange little eyeballs. Now I'm going to go in with a tool. It kind of has like a flathead on the end of it, and I'm going to just scrape around to get all the plugs loose. There we go. Nice and smooth. With acetone, I'm going to go ahead and remove factory paint from her face and her scalp. Wow, this doll has such a beautiful face sculpt. I love her lips, her nose, her ears, her big eyes. It's just so magical. Now going in with my X-Acto blade, I'm going to be cutting along that part line I pointed out earlier, just to avoid any pre-existing hair plugs. I will be rerooting this doll, so I don't want to damage anything. Ugh, look at all this gunk that I have to remove out of her head. Hold on. Let's finish cutting. And there it is. Oh, one more piece. There. Nice clean cut. So again with the X-Acto blade, now I'm going to try to remove the vinyl backing she has behind her eye sockets. It's a really strange camera angle for me to try to show you guys without hurting myself, so I'm going to provide you with some nice editing magic. Ta-da! All finished. Ready for hair. These are the dreads that I'll be using to reroot my doll. I made them myself and it was a really long process, but I made a small clip for you guys. So I basically separated various colors of wool yarn and made them really, really fluffy. I added different highlights and colors that I wanted incorporated and sprayed it down with a homemade solution. I then took an exfoliating sponge and rubbed it down over and over and over again until I had something that looked like this. If you would like a longer tutorial on this method, feel free to let me know below. Now we're going to paint her skull. Head. Whatever. I picked this pink color out just so that it complemented the dreads. This is to avoid any bald spots should the hair move, but I doubt that's going to be an issue with how big the dreads are. Let that dry, and there we go. We should be ready to reroot now. So my partner in this collaboration actually gave me really good advice. Stephoodoll told me that I should reroot the little head cap separately, and I don't know why I didn't think of that before. It's genius. So during the reroot process, this is where things got a little weird. I ended up buying the wrong size needle off of Doll Planet. I got a 5 when I was supposed to get a 0, and I struggled so much. So basically, the needle was just too small and it couldn't handle the yarn, but since this is my first time, I had no idea, and I should have, given the fact that my doll's head was like collapsing into pieces, but I just kept going because I just did. And around dread 3, the needle broke. So I had to go to the store near my house and I picked up a pack of embroidery needles and I just made my own. I basically took a nail clipper, clipped it, stuck it inside of a hand drill, and with that, I was able to finish the top piece of her head, and it looks so good! Look at it! Look at all the colors together! Oh, it's so magical! So following Steph's advice, now I'm going to reroot the little head cap. In order to fit the dreads though, the embroidery needle just wasn't enough. I had to use this method I saw on Delightful's channel once where you pre-widen the hole, not sure if that's a real word, and you basically load your needle and then remove whatever tool it was you used to open up the hole for you and quickly plunge it in there. My only suggestion is if you're going to do this, especially with a headpiece like this, just be careful. Like, it's so easy to accidentally scrape yourself or puncture your finger with the needle, but it works really well. So with how thick these dreads are, I'm actually just going to go down this center line here, and that should be enough for full coverage. And it was! Oh, you know how I feel about these dreads already. I just love seeing them together. The colors are just... Oh my god. Okay. Genuine reactions here, people. Genuine reactions. Time for eyes. This is actually my first time doing inset eyes and working with resin. So naturally, I didn't know what size eyes this doll needed at all. So I got a random 6-pack of eye molds off of Amazon for about $10. And when they arrived, I just put them inside of her head so that I can kind of visualize what they look like. Visualizing the eye molds inside of the actual eye really did help, especially when I kept my theme in mind, which is Candy Girl. I just envisioned her eyes being sparkly and pink and purple and just sort of deranged, but also really cute. Kind of like she was on a sugar rush. So these were it. I picked these. We're going to begin making the eyes by first cleaning the mold, collecting our resin, a cup to actually hold the resin, tiny sticks for stirring the resin, and ink to dye the resin. My other materials included some glitter, the head of course, and my trusted little UV lamp. So I'm beginning the process here by adding the resin to my little Tylenol cup. I'm going to choose normal white from the resin inks that I have and add whatever amount of drops at the time I thought was necessary. I think I added about 6, but it looks like more. And I'm just gonna stir that up quite nicely. Stir, 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 stirring, stirring, stirring. Not the most exciting clip, I admit. All right, that's a weird consistency. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more just for holy crap. Yeah, I think there is definitely such thing as too much alcohol ink. Oh boy. Ah well, it's already mixed up. So now we're going to add it to the mold very carefully to avoid getting air bubbles inside of the resin. So literally drop by drop by drop. Yeah, not doing that twice. Let's speed that up. Yeah, alrighty. Then I'm going to take a needle and gently stir the eye molds to remove any air bubbles. Pop it in the UV lamp, and hopefully it's okay. Alright, let's see what happened. Seems pretty hard. Looks decent. Let's pop them out. It's a little sticky. Please come out, please come out, please. Ah. Looks like my mishap with the alcohol ink didn't really do too much damage. I'm actually really happy about this. And they don't look too bad inside her head. Not really, actually. They're really creepy. So I know you have no idea what my normal setup is, but this isn't it. I'm actually at a hotel right now because I had to leave my apartment, but it's been pretty nice to be able to work and sleep and sleep and work and work and sleep. And see Maxie Boozies behind me every day. Well, this part's the same no matter what, but hi, Max. So clearly, I've been very busy making eyeballs for my doll. Ultimately, even after all of those eyeballs, I ended up just sticking with the white that we made originally. So here I am just putting some epoxy sculpt inside of the pupil so that I can sculpt out some details. This will be beneficial once I start the painting process, and you'll be able to see those details more clearly. This will give the eye a more realistic look once the resin drops are inserted. So I ended up making 2 pairs, and out of the 2 pairs, I ended up going with these. Come on, these just scream candy, don't they? I had to. And they give special effects, apparently. It's face-up time! Alright, so originally when I thought about the doll's makeup, I thought, okay, she's a Rainbow High doll, she should have rainbow makeup. This wouldn't be the first time I've done it on a doll, so I think I kind of have a preference for it. So here I go. I'm layering my pan pastels in between layers of Mr. Super Clear sealant. And I'm trying to just build up the opacity as much as I can with my pan pastels because I really like the soft touch that it gives them. Alright, moving right along, I've already finished the blushing for the body and the face. I kind of want to go in with the watercolor pencils just to define the lighter areas that got dulled down by the Mr. Super Clear. Sometimes the sealant does this to lighter colors, so if you want to maintain those colors in your face-ups, you kind of have to go in and define them yourself, which is no problem. I'm going to go in here to the eyebrow and just add little individual hairs for more definition, and as you can tell, it just really makes a big difference to the final product. Now, the last thing I'm going to add to this face up is just a simple eyeliner. I'm not a huge fan of mascara, even for myself, and I just think it makes the doll have a overall cleaner look than huge eyelashes staring out at you. It's just a personal preference. I know it's not everybody's choice. Alright, the last step before inserting her eyes and glossing her lips is to remove her nose. Did I get you? Did you think I was going to remove her nose? I'm not going to take off her nose. I'm actually giving her a septum piercing by just drilling 2 small holes into her nostrils and then taking a wire that I bent and just putting it in her nose. It's really simple. You just wrap the wire around something like a knitting needle to create the proper distance and bam. I'm going to do the same thing to her ear. And there she is. She has a cute little septum piercing and an earring. This is the wire that I used. Again, just wrap it around something like a chopstick or a knitting needle. Off for glossing! Using Liquitex Gloss Varnish, I start applying generous amounts to the areas that I want shiny. Areas like her lips, her nose, and her waterline. So last minute, I decided to gloss her eyelids, the tips of her ears, and a little bit more of her nose. I'm actually really happy about this decision because I think it brought a lot more life into her face. Now that that's done, we can finally see what she looks like with her eyeballs! Look at these glittery things! Oh my gosh, we're gonna unwrap the hair. What? This is so satisfying to watch. Look at, oh! Look at it. Oh, look at her. Okay, this is like so unprofessional. Okay, back to narrating. So I'm gonna mix some more epoxy sculpt so that we can get these eyeballs stuck in her head for good. I'm gonna wrap them around her eye holes. Gosh, this sounds so weird. And then I'm just gonna find the position that I want her eyeballs to stay in. Definitely not this. Yeah, it's a hot mess in there. So here goes the second eyeball. Looking good, looking good. So now that they have their final position and I've smushed them really well into the epoxy sculpt in her head, I'm gonna set her and her head piece to the side so that everything can fully cure. So after about 24 hours, epoxy sculpt is usually good to go. So here I am a day later, putting up her hair in preparation for gluing the two pieces of her head back together finally. And I guess I never did explain why I put epoxy sculpt into the head cap. It's really just for weight distribution. I didn't want all the heavy clay in the front part of her face. I think that she'd be like staring down the whole time. Anyway, so I'm going to be using an epoxy glue. This stuff is very strong smell-wise, so if you're sensitive to smell, make sure that you're like in a ventilated area or wearing a mask. I'm going to go ahead and just apply this around her head on all the edges. Hold the pieces together until they can hold themselves. This might take just a little while. After carefully holding this doll's head for about 5 minutes, I just let her sit overnight so that she can fully cure. And sure enough, by the time I woke up the next morning, her head was completely solid and everything in place. Alright, so now that we have a fully dried head to work with, I'm going to go ahead and start painting that same light pink color that we used in the beginning of the video on this side of her head. I'm doing this in preparation for the flocking that she will receive. Once the paint is dry, you can start applying very thin layers of Elmer's glue all. On top of this glue, you're going to take a pinch of flocking and press firmly until dry. You're going to repeat this process until the whole side of her head is completely covered. I'm in love with the results here. The pink flocking literally made her head look like a piece of bubblegum, which fits perfectly into my candy girl theme. Ah, love it! Alrighty, on to shoes. So these shoes I actually stole from Sunny to use for my doll. I thought they were really cute and all I did was enhance the gold to match a balloon I made for my doll off camera. I'll be using Elmer's glue all yet again so that I can attach this really cute purple glitter to the soles of the shoes. So I go ahead and I start applying the glue to the soles, a pinch of glitter here, spread it around, brush off the excess, and let dry. And voila! Glittery platform shoes. I wanted to go ahead and show you guys two accessories that I repurposed. This is an old OMG necklace that I gave gold accents to. And this is a tiny little teddy bear that I just randomly had laying around at home, so now he's a lollipop. The last item on my list, an adorable, fluffy Mickey Mouse purse. I'm going to construct this using pom-poms that I found at my local store. These googly eyes don't make the cut at the end, and neither do these beads. This donut does. And this embroidery thread, it kind of holds the whole thing together, so we're gonna need that. What I'm doing here is I'm just adding a strip of hot glue so that I can attach a piece of felt that's going to act as an illusion of like a zipper or like the opening to the purse. Once that's down, I'm going to glue those tiny little pink pom-poms on either side. Look how squishy! Once the pom-poms have dried in place, I'm gonna kind of force a embroidery needle through the ears, through the imaginary neck hole of this thing. The reason why I have to force it through is because we just put that hot glue there, so the needle has to pass through that. So that's why I'm going to be using my pliers, and I'm going to go very slowly to avoid stabbing myself. It's forever something I'm worried about. The reason we did this is so that we can secure the O-ring at the tips of the ears so that it can later hold the chain. Nice! Now that everything is really secure, we can go ahead and finally add that metal strap. I've already gone ahead and added some iridescent star charms to it and the metal donut that I showed you earlier. All we need to do is attach it to the doll. It looks so cute, I cannot wait to see everything together. Introducing for the very first time, here's Jules. I've decided on the name Jules ever since I started making her eyes. Her eyes, her personality, just everything about her seems so bright. A special thanks to Mason at Mr. Super Customs for inviting me to do this collab. Thank you, Mason. And a special thanks to those of you watching. It means so much that you were here for our first video, and I hope you want to stick around for more. We have lots planned. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.